to order. Thank you very much for your patience and your interest. And we will start with a roll call, please.
Prue?
Here.
Gleason? Here. Smith?
Present.
Cherry?
Here.
Layton?
Here.
All
We
present.
have a quorum present.
I think you gotta press the button.
I thought it was on. Is it on now? Okay. We have minutes from last week.
We'll move them with a question. You have the right nephew in there. I know you got a lot of nephews. Was that the
I
one
only
you
got a
meant?
couple, but
Is that the one you meant?
I don't, I
Never
guess,
mentioned the name.
what does it say? Because I don't have my glasses. I guess I do have my glasses.
Sherry stated her nephew in parentheses, John Cherry. is-
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll second the motion.
But actually, I only have two nephews, so. There's one,
Oh,
I know, one passed away.
about a couple
No, it's okay.
more.
I like mine.
I love mine.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the minutes, and it's supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now is the time for the public comment. You have 2 minutes if you would like to say anything. Just come up and state your name, and you can, and we all know who you are. It's good to see you, David.
I'll state it for the record nevertheless. Thank you. David Robertson, 5511 Wakefield Road, Grand Blanc, Michigan. I want to take my 2 minutes this afternoon to express my opposition to what, if I understand the name of the term of the map is Cherry 1. That's the one that was advertised recently. I object to this map, and if this is the one that is being considered for approval today, I believe it should not be approved. The statute that guides the Elections Commission in this area puts a constitutional premium on not breaking municipal boundaries, or as few as possible. This map breaks numerous municipal boundaries. Furthermore, it is, in my view, largely incoherent in that it links, for example, southern Grand Blanc with southern Flint through Mundy Township. It puts Davison City, which is largely or entirely contained within the 36 square miles of Davison Township, in one district, and the lion's share of Davison Township, if not all of it, in another district. It really makes sense and can be viewed clearly through the prism of partisanship. The one thing that ties all of these individual districts together is the fact that the inner suburbs are linked with the outer suburbs in order to overwhelm the Republican behavioral tendencies of those outer suburbs and guarantee or make it more likely that 8 Democrats will be elected to the County Board of Commissioners. Now, I understand that the votes are here, and I have led a partisan life myself. You have all been on the receiving end of my kind of partisanship for the last 30 years, in spite of your best efforts to make that not possible. So I do not fault people for partisanship.
10 seconds.
But partisanship has its limits, and the law is what you should follow, and I do not believe that this map does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other person wishing to address the board? Yes.
Wesley Whitaker, 607 Fenton Commons Lane, Fenton, Michigan. I used to be part of the party politics around this area many years ago. I know Deb quite well. Everyone who's ever been involved in politics knows that we preach that we represent the people and have their best interests as our primary goal. But the reality is that we allow ourselves to be influenced by other interests who are often deter us from our higher selves and keep us divided. Everyone in politics says they hate gerrymandering, but we do it anyway because those other interests tell us that we must. There was a time when Flint, Michigan was known around the world as the center of innovation. We have a rare opportunity to seize that moniker once again. We have excellent educational institutions in this city with the brain power and the computing capability to take the population of Genesee County and objectively, rationally divide it into political districts which are roughly equal in population and easily defined along major highways and rivers. the Flint area would once again lead the nation in innovating a solution that is truly fair and nonpartisan, a solution that represents all the people regardless of their color, race, income, or political affiliation. It would also allow our candidates to better represent their constituents. I've always believed in the power of bipartisan efforts. I ask you to put your vested interests aside this time and do something that will put this city, this county, and this state back in the news in a positive light. Make this process fair, objective, politically agnostic, and transparent. Show the people you represent that you truly do place them above politics. Thank you for your consideration.
You.
Hello, my name's Sherry Marden from Richfield Township, and I'd like to say that I just agree with what the last two gentlemen said. I do believe that the map presented, that was example number one, that it is gerrymandering. I really don't like the way that they divided up Davison Township, the city of Davison, and Richfield Township. Also, I came here today with the expectation and hope that possibly there might be another map that would be presented to us that maybe was some changes to one of them that was presented. So I'm eager to see what the board has to say about that. The second thing is that I really am confused here. I came to a health department meeting the other day, and I thought all of our meetings started out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we ended up saying it on our own at the very end of the meeting. And then today I was kind of surprised that we didn't start out with it too. So I was hoping that we could do that now, if that's okay with you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Brenda Hanel from Vienna Township. Looking at the maps with Cherry 1 and looking at the targeted deviation, it's my understanding that the targeted population is to be 45,135, as close as you can get to every district. That deviation has a large range. If you look at the map that was presented by Smith, the deviation range of that with the same number of 45,135 is a lot closer together. That's a fairer representation for each district. Not only that, but I have worked a lot in Mount Morris Township and Genesee Township, both the rural areas and the various city areas, including Beecher. They have a unique things that they deal with. I do not see how dividing it up in Cherry's map into 3 different spots is a good representation for the citizens that live in that area. I agree with the one that Smith did with District 4, that they're all together on that to representation. And my understanding is the districts you're to represent we the people, and the people deserve to be represented equally and fair. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Leonard Martin from Richfield Township. I signed a document that promised up till death to defend the Constitution, both from foreign and domestic. Cherry 1, according to a document I read from the Supreme Court, gobbledygook. It separates political entities. It's already been mentioned, Davison Township, but it spreads Flint far and wide. They've got unique problems in Flint. And to divide, which seems to be the Theme of the day, divide everybody, get them all upset. Unfair representation. I would hope that you would think more clearly. In the last meeting which I attended, Mr. Gleason brought up the fact that we're all aware of. It's gerrymandering. It's political left and right. Mr. Smith's plan is much more representative of the people of this community. It may not be perfect, but I can tell you that Cherry 1 is a disaster. Gobbledygook. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Lucretia Handy, resident of Flint Township. I was born and raised in the city of Flint. I have family and friends that live in the city. I work in the city and I worship in the city. I studied the proposed maps by Deb Cherry and Matthew Smith. My concern is with Mr. Smith's map. Flint remains the largest municipality in the county, and I see what he's trying to do. Mr. Smith wants people of color to believe he cares about us, when in fact he doesn't. This is obvious with the Genesee County Republican Party's Take Back Genesee County hashtag, and it's obvious with his map. Like a can of sardines, Mr. Smith's map will pack Flint into as few districts as possible. This will lead to fewer Flint commissioners and likely fewer Black commissioners. Adopting Mr. Smith's map would disenfranchise the votes of residents in the city of Flint, giving Genesee County a small amount of minority representation. The map will also disenfranchise Flint schools, putting its current COVID-19 safety measures in jeopardy. Black folks have a right to fair representation, just like everybody else. We have the right to have our voices heard. I am urging the Commission to not adopt the map created by Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bobby Walton, I live in Davison Township. Some years ago, I was invited to go up to Antrim County and talk to a group about how we could elect more women to office. And I focused on redistricting, and they wanted to know why I thought that was important in order to elect more women. And I said, if you don't have districts that are competitive, if you don't have districts where a candidate actually has a chance to win, you don't get candidates for office. And the districts that are not representative of the people are the districts where you have a heavy balance of one party or one interest over the other. The women and the minorities have a much harder time of raising money, and those of you who have run for office as a woman or a minority know that that's true. If you have districts that are not competitive, it's even harder, because the people who would donate to your campaign do not see you as a person who might potentially win that seat. If you don't have a chance to win that seat, they're not going to give you money. So a competitive district is extremely important. The issue of the Cherry map, I went home and actually analyzed both maps. And I also watched the YouTube video of what was going on at the last meeting. And I heard Mr. Smith actually say that he wanted to isolate the people of Flint into two districts, which is called packing in any redistricting terminology. And he also wanted to bring on the outer fringes of the county districts that were representative of primarily Republicans, and that's called cracking. So what Mr. Smith had done is actually proposed a gerrymandered map. As a resident of Davison Township, I can tell you that 11 years ago, there was quite a battle in Davison over firing the city manager because he had been talking with the township supervisor about merging the two. And the city manager was fired over that very thing. So if the city people in Davison actually see themselves as part of the total district, that would not have been so. And it continues to today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Art Reyes. I'm a resident of Grand Blanc Township. And I'm here to talk about this process. 10 years ago, I was on the Apportionment Committee, and I remember the battles. So I thank you all for what you're doing. And I want to believe that all involved have the best interest of the voters in heart. But it took the voters of Michigan a referendum in order to stop the gerrymandering that was going on in the State House and the State Senate. And there are people in this room who have benefited from that. When I take a look at the maps, it is clear to me that the Cherry map provides a broader scope of people from urban, suburban, and rural across the board. The way that we are able to more effectively govern is when we can actually come together in that way. Packing does not do anything except create more division. Cracking does the exact same thing, and thank you, Bobby, for laying that out for everyone. I think that it's very important that we take a look at the fact that the voters and the people of Genesee County are not all that different from each other. Yeah, we have different economic means, we have different living areas, but when it comes down to it, it is very important that all of us have an opportunity to be able to represent those around which we live. So I am here in support of the Cherry map, and I urge the commission to accept that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Michelle
Hi.
Ryder, Grand Blanc. I came here today to oppose the map submitted by the Apportionment Commissioner from Davison. It is an obvious attempt to gerrymander his own district in order to win future elections, which is clearly problematic, but more importantly, it disenfranchises the votes of the people in Flint. We simply cannot allow the city to deteriorate and marginalize the people living there. The city of Flint holds Genesee County's largest population, and packing it into just two districts dilutes the voices of our communities of color. I would also like to point out that 2 years ago, the Apportionment Commissioner from Davison ran for the exact seat that he is drawing lines for and is likely to run again. And finally, considering the Apportionment Commissioner from Davison's pending criminal charges, I'm appalled that he is able to sit on this committee at all. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Patty Jones from Grand Blanc, and I've looked at both of the maps that were proposed, and I think that the citizens of Genesee County deserve better. I've honestly had it with the political gerrymandering that's going on right now, and I would like to propose a solution. I think that we should trash both of those maps, put 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats on a committee and combine them so that it will be fair for the citizens of Genesee County. Each of the parties and the independent parties, everybody deserves a chance at a seat in the direction of our county. I beg you, I urge you to reevaluate both maps and to come up with something that is fair for the citizens of Genesee County. We deserve it. We trust you. We need you to be on board with this. Thank you very much.
Hello, Lindsay Spiewak from Davison. So I have notes, but I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to take this. So the law,
You got 2 minutes.
oh, I know, the law MCL 46.404 states that the township, cities, villages shall be combined unless necessary to meet equal population standards. Obviously, Davison, Cherry with the map, it is split. And, I do believe that the whole intention is to keep communities together. Now, I've heard people come up here and they say that the city of Flint is not, going to be, well represented or whatever with just 2 districts. And, they're talking about, the city of Flint being the city of color. Well, we have blacks in Davison as well. Like there are people there are blacks that live in these other communities. It's not just, in Flint. Obviously they are, majority in Flint. But what I'm saying is, we can't, I think it was Ashley, is it Prue, that said in an MLive article, 1 or 2 districts, if we put the city of Flint in 1 or 2 districts, you're disenfranchising the Flint voters. But if we're only focusing on 2 districts here, we're completely ignoring the other 7 in the 9 districts that make up Genesee County. I mean, so I love what the previous woman just said, like, what if we set up a committee to get together to draw a fair map? One that, you know what, both sides are unhappy with, because that means that we've come together and we've worked together and we've figured out something together. So just a suggestion, being from Davison, I don't like that my town is split up. In fact, where the line is between 3 and 5, I believe, that Maple Road, there are some students on Maple Road that actually attend Davison schools. So technically, you'd be putting Davison in almost 3 different districts if we go with that map. So I just want to put that out there. So thank you for giving me the time to speak, and thanks for the consideration.
Thank you.
Holger Spiewak, Davis, Michigan. I am from Germany originally, so I can't even vote here. But, you know, there's a lot of turmoil going on right now in this country, in this county. And obviously, I think everybody understands what's at stake here, that the redistricting will determine who's going to be the commissioners for this county. And the commissioners have been in very much question, you know, from many people that live in Genesee County as to the decision-making, the people that they are appointing for public positions. So I agree with the proposal of the previous 2 speakers that this is coming really, really fast. I just found out about this here a couple weeks ago, and this is affecting every single citizen and inhabitant of Genesee County. And I think we should just take some more time and give people the chance to really look into this, because more and more people are wanting to get involved in this, and to put this something that's this important right now on a docket to decide in this short notice, I think is not wise. Just for the sake of, I agree, we need to come together as a community on both sides or all sides of the aisle, and trying to force something down through really fast right now is not helping that. So my suggestion is to take some time, maybe for the proposal of breaking a committee with 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and really figure out what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Debbie Zofko, Vienna Township. I didn't really prepare anything, you know, prior to coming here. And all I could think about was how everybody wants fairness. Everybody, every single resident in this county wants fairness. I don't know who of you are believers in Jesus Christ, but I know that if you are and you do what is right in the sight of the Lord, He will look out for you and He will take care of you. I just implore you to please be fair. That's all we want, is just fairness, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Michelle Gushin, and I'm a resident of the city of Flushing. I'd like to just show my support right off for the Cherry 1 map. And mine's a little different. I'm not going to get into all the weeds of everything, but I am a retired Flint Community School teacher, and still extremely proud of that. And my concern boils down to my students, my kids, as we call them, teachers, current teachers and retired teachers. And I'm particularly concerned about Mr. Smith's maps, okay? I do not want Flint divided into just 2 districts. And my fear is when that will occur, you're not going to get the black and brown candidates that we need, the black and brown leaders that we need, the black and brown problem solvers that we need. And if it's diluted too much, the power will be gone from Flint. And like the one gentleman said, I don't know who it was, Flint was a powerhouse, and it can return to that again. Maybe not in exactly the same way, but we can't let Flint go. Those are not other people. Those are not others. Those are all of us, whether you live in Flushing, Vienna Township, wherever. And the woman before that said to be fair. And I think that's so incredibly important. And to be fair is to incorporate the city of Flint with the other districts. And what it gets back to is, what are we going to leave for our kids? No matter if our kids live in Flushing, like mine used to, or Vienna Township, or wherever, but the kids in Flint deserve the chances that everybody else's kids deserve. And I implore you to adopt the Cherry 1 maps. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Villarreal. I am a resident currently of the city of Flint. When I was born in the city, I was raised actually in the school district of Beecher, and then I completed first grade through 12th grade in Davison. And I'm a proud graduate of Davison High School. I'm proud to be from that community, to be shaped by that community. My family, my extended family still resides in the Davison community. I serve in a lot of different capacities in the city of Flint, and I'm passionate about giving voice to people. And today I'm proud that we do have a lot of people here to share their voice and opinion. I think that's what makes us a great democracy. And the important fact is that we listen to one another. As I really looked at and considered these maps, and I think about the history of our county, I want to note that I really believe that the map proposed, as we're calling today the Cherry 1 map, most closely represents fair, and I want everyone to hear this word, equitable. Fair, equitable, and this other word, competitive districts. The city of Flint is the largest municipality in our county, and the city is also a very vital economic and social hub for the whole county. People come into the city for work. They also come into the city for enjoyment and leisure. The city is important to the county. Dividing the city into several districts, as we've taught today that the Cherry map does, in which creates the competitiveness for election races. This promotes the collaboration that we need in this county to work together to address the challenges of today as well as the challenges we'll
10
face in the
seconds.
next decade. And let me be clear, the Smith map, which isolates the city of Flint, will only divide our county and perpetuate historical and systemic racism. Thank you for your consideration.
Good afternoon. Susan Hendricks, Grand Blanc Township. Was one of the legions of people that brought Prop 2 to fruition. It is now the law of the land. We are desperately trying to get rid of gerrymandering to protect our one person, one vote that Michigan guarantees. So when I look at these maps, you can imagine how horrified I am to find that one map is fair, equitable, and competitive. And I know that people don't like competitiveness. We like security, but competitive is where we need to go if we're going to have our politicians actually listen to us and actually have to prove that they're doing, to us that they deserve the job. The second map, the Smith map, not only packs Flint into two districts, but which is inappropriate. They need to stay numbers and community-wise in 4, but it also cracks another whole district into, I'm sorry to say, sounds like we have a commissioner who is drawing maps and voting on them, who will be making a district that is in fact guaranteed, future employment. This is absolutely anti-gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is anti, all power is inherent in the people. If people cannot fight and vote for their commissioner, and any of the elected officials, if there is no choice, if people are guaranteed to run, then we will not, in fact, have the power in the people, which is one of the enshrined words in the Michigan Constitution. So please support the Cherry map. It will do the hard work of being fair, equitable, and competitive, and do not bring gerrymandering back to Michigan, back to Genesee County after our huge fight to start to get rid of that. Thank you. Have a great day.
Hello. My name's Lisa Passberg. I am also a resident of Flint. I work at the College of Human Medicine, Michigan State University, for the Flint Registry. We have spent a lot of time working in collaboration and coalition with a lot of groups around Flint. And I believe the cherry map is what will give equitable voices to the people of Flint. Too often in the past couple of decades, the voices of the people of Flint have been taken away. They have been disenfranchised from democracy. I believe the cherry map is the best route to supporting the people of Flint and giving them an equitable voice.
Thank you.
Hi, Leah Swartz Creek. I'm hearing equitable. America was founded on equality, this equitable stuff. Don't make these maps about racism. God doesn't look at the color of your skin. He looks at your soul, the quality of person that you are. And as far as I see it, the boards are 75% run with Democrat people in seats. Be fair. We need to be balanced, and according to these maps, the target deviation is obvious that the Cherry one is way more deviated than the Smith one. Be real, be fair, you will be judged. You wanna play it off with your party favors? That's one thing. Consider what God thinks is fair. Pray for the favor of God, not from the people. Don't be a man pleaser, be a God pleaser.
Hello, my name is Anthony Pachorek, a resident of Flint. I'm a community organizer, and sometimes we have to think about things on a line of vision that goes beyond what we normally see, things that can go into unintended consequences. Flint is a city that is known for unintended consequences. In 2016, we faced such an unintended consequence, and we had to face the repercussions of that for generations to come. But as an organizer after that, I had been walking in the community and talking amongst my fellow residents. They said, we need to change things, our voices aren't being heard. And my retort to that was, well, great, because we're going to do some redistricting. And everyone I talked to on this was super excited and everyone supported it. So I want you guys to think about unintended consequences. And when I looked at Mr. Smith's map, I think that this really falls under unintended consequences, but it is absolutely small and minuscule and shrinks the voice and power and representation that Flint has. And that goes directly against the will of the people who want their leaders to represent them and hear their voices and reflect the power in their communities. If we go with Representative Smith's maps, we are going to be losing a large voice in our community of Black and brown people, as well as that it will negatively impact Flint's community schools, which are already in a state that don't need to go into much more explanation. They need as much help as they can. They don't need any more chaos in the works. Currently, right now, we also have to consider another unintended consequence that if we go by Representative Smith's map, we could have an influx of COVID rise due to a change in our health and safety standards in our schools. So we must think once again, as a city that has suffered through unintended consequences,
10 seconds.
what is the best course to go through? And I believe that best course for the County of Genesee is to go with the Sherry map and to oppose the Matt Smith map. Thank you.
I'm Lori Schaefer, and I'm from the city of Goodrich. My husband and I raised our children in Davison, but we were following our GM job, you know how that goes, down to Oxford, where we lived for 16 years, and we just come back and moved to the city of Goodrich. So I'm real familiar with this area. I was raised here, but we've only been back 2 years. And we used to go to First Presbyterian Church downtown Flint for 13 years, and we're both deacons there. And we are just mortified at what has happened to the city of Flint in the 16 years that we've been gone. And I would hate to have a redistricting that causes that city to further erode and fall apart. We both worked for General Motors. I worked at the Great Lakes Technology Center. My husband worked at Delphi, and we went to First Press. It's not like we can cut ourselves off from Flint, or we shouldn't want to or try to. And we go to the cultural center, and we're worried about, we see Central Element or high school all falling down in East Village. And I'm just really concerned that we don't further erode and destroy Flint. I don't see how we can think that we can leave that city as just something that we don't care about. So I would, because of that, support the Cherry map and give Flint a voice to address its own needs, because I don't intend to leave Flint because I live in Goodrich or because I have family in Davison. I don't understand that logic, but that's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Fascinello, Grand Blanc. And I was just listening to some of the comments being made, and I'm hearing a lot of people debating about the two maps. And the Cherry map, I kind of see it's almost like a pie cutter, where you took the city of Flint, split it up into pie pieces, and then the other map is more like squares, like brownies. The thing that bothers me when I'm listening to all these comments is people really are kind of, they're showing their implicit bias. All right, and by implicit bias, I'm saying that people are assuming that people of color all think the same way and that are a monolithic voting bloc. And I'm here to tell you, as a person who knocked doors across this entire county in the 2020 election, that is simply not true. You can't look at a person's skin color and think that they are automatically a Democrat, because I'm telling you, I knocked those doors, and people of color have hashtag walked away. So no matter which map you go with, whether you want to be fair or not, you don't have to worry about the map about losing that population, because you've already lost them. Those were some of the funnest doors that I've knocked, and they tell me they're walk-away stories. So go back, revisit both maps, stop looking at people of color as a monolithic voting bloc that you can use as a pawn to your favor, because that's disgusting.
Shannon Allenbass, I'm from Fenton Township. I agree with a lot of what Amy just said and several of the other people that have spoken. I'm new to this. I just saw the maps the other day. I haven't had time to study them. I do know when I came to a commission meeting in July, Sean Shoemaker discussed about how important this was. I didn't understand it at the time, but I'm beginning to understand how important and critical this is to our county and the next 10 years of our future. So from what I've seen of both maps, I don't like either one of them. I think putting Flint in, it looks like 5 or 6 districts is too many, but keeping it at 2 is too few. I agree with those that say that it should be gone back to the drawing board or make some tweaks, somehow try to maybe merge the concepts of both maps so that you end up with a fair district with all populations represented, not color, but people and their points of view. Lastly, I would like to say that judging Matt Smith's map on the fact that he has some kind of legal proceeding against him, what happened to you're innocent until you're proven guilty? That should have never, ever been brought up as a reason to dismiss his map in this meeting. That is completely unfair, judgmental, and from what I understand, what we're trying to do here, that's not part of this process. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dave Onufri. I live in, I have a Davison mailing address. I live in Richfield Township. After viewing the maps, I really agreed with Matt Smith's map. I've been out, well, I'm 65 years old. I was born in Flint, Michigan, raised in Grand Blanc, and now I live in Richfield Township. But I kind of live on the M15 corridor. I buy all my cars from Graf Chevrolet in Davison, have for 25 years. I've been where I am now for 28 years. And my wife shops in Davison. You're splitting up Richfield Township, merging it with Mount Morris. You're splitting up Davison and merging it with Burton. I just really don't think the people of those communities, and they live where they live because they want to. All right, and I just think that, you know, you should, Matt Smith's map seems like it more resembles the current map, and I just think that's the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any more comments?
Hi, Meredith Davis, County Commission, District 7. Obviously, I have some stake in this, right? And I want to say it's not about me, but it's not about you guys either. I'm frustrated by the fact that calls were made last Thursday and your guys' minds are already made up to some of my fellow commissioners. That frustrates me because you're not listening. And we talk about fairness here, but when we have 1 or 2 Republicans representing out of the 9, that's not fair. Conservative values are not being listened to. You take that out of it, though, and these seats are clearly skewed. We will end up having mainly Democratic seats. Where's our voice? That's all I'm saying. If it affects me and I'm out, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. But there is a bias here, clearly. Thank you.
Good evening. We want fair and equitable.
Just say what your name is.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
My name is Sandra Smith-Jones, and I'm representing Ward 3, Greater Holy Temple Church of God in Christ. We service the county and the city every single day. And when the water crisis hit, our church has never closed its doors. Today, one of the reasons I'm late is because we just shut down from distributing water and food. My point to you is we service both county and the city. I support the current map with Cherry. We want fair and equitable election districts. Has nothing to do with how you feel about it. It's equitable, what is right. Flint is a minority city. The way that you're districting it, we now become the minority, and we are the county seat. We are the largest city in the county. Therefore, our voices should represent the size of this city. The redistricting does not do that. It puts us at a disadvantage. And that, to me, appears to be more of a diplomatic type of situation that's not in our favor, but it's more political. I don't see anything wrong with the current mapping whatsoever. We've downsized, we've lost a lot of people in this city. But our representation, we have not left. We are still here regardless as to what the situations are. And I'm asking and requesting that we keep the current map of Day-Up Cherry. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hi.
Hi, how are you? My name is Michelle Sharon, and I live in Grand Blanc.
I just recently moved in the area. I'm not real familiar with the whole mapping thing. I've just been kind of getting on board with this. But from what I do understand in the research that I have researched is that changing the map to Cherry's map is going to lead to a far more biased, one-sided opinion. I don't think that's right. I think that everybody has a voice, no matter who you are, what you are. That's what our country represents. And I'm just so tired of the separation, the mask, the unmasked, the vaccine, the unmasked, the vaccine, all of it, black, white, Chinese. Everybody should have an opinion. And the whole bias thing, I don't feel is right. And I was told, I was deciding between coming here and going to Lansing today for what's going on there. And I was told today was important to be here. Well, first I was told that it didn't matter if I came here or not, because you weren't going to listen to us. You've already had your minds made up, and whatever your minds were doing with the Cherry thing, that's what you were going to go with. I don't think that's right. You need to listen to the people. The people pay the taxes. The people are the ones that keep this community going, not the Democrats, not the Republicans. Everybody should have a voice. And I don't think it's fair to go completely one-sided. That's wrong. That's why our country today is so enormously messed up. It's because everybody wants to take lead and order and tell everybody what to do. And the American people don't get to say their voices aren't heard. I deal with this every week. I was just here yesterday on the mask mandate stuff, and it's like, we can sit here all day, and I don't think it's fair that your board members, you should have an open mind, not a closed mind. Closed-minded people don't do good. You need to be open-minded with everything you do, and I feel that everybody should have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments?
And Matt Smith. My name is Sandy Jobin.
Hi.
From Burton. Hello, Deb.
Hi.
Or Miss Cherry.
Deb's fine.
Okay. So my understanding is everybody's throwing around this word gerrymandering. In about two sentences, can you explain to me what gerrymandering is in a legal form? You can take your mask off. You're sitting up there by yourself.
This
So
is
we
not
can
time
hear.
for comments. We can talk about that once the public comments.
Okay,
done.
so I'll explain it to you then. Gerrymandering is by basically bias of opinion. You already have 9 commissioners on the seating boards, correct? 2 of those are Republicans. In your map, from what I understand, again, you've woken up the wrong people, because now we're gonna figure out what politics is about in all the BS that's been going on. Because American people have not been heard, but you guys have done did it, so here we are. I'm learning that there's 9 commissioners seating, correct?
Go ahead.
Okay, 2 are Republican, and with your map, that would drop another Republican. So that would give that 8-1. So I'm not sure where that's fairness from. Equity. Oh boy, everybody got the email on the same equity and ABC News, CBS, and using the same language. Get it. I don't understand what's going on. Why can't you guys come together, instead of divide, come together and come up with a different map that is proven that Davison should all stay together. There's no reason to divide it out into 14 different places and Flint into 14 different places. It's just stupid. It's a clear-cut map with Matt Smith's, but you guys can tweak it and come up with something that both sides can agree on, because this is what it's supposed to be. Why are we dividing
10 seconds.
everybody? I don't understand that. The division, you'll fall. United we stand. And this is United States of America that I knew of.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Any other public comments? One more? Okay.
Take a deep breath, right?
It's okay.
I want to say greetings to all of you. My name is Kathleen Lage. I've been a resident of Fenton Township since 1988, when we moved back here from Boston, but I'm a native Michigander. And while I don't live in Flint, I taught there for almost 30 years. And I recognize how critical it is for my former students and their parents to have a fair and equitable voice. They must have that equal voice. The redistricting guidelines specifically stated that you shall not favor or disfavor an incumbent elected official. Redistricting must recognize communities of interest in the fairest way possible. Districts must not provide a disproportionate advantage to any political party. And again, I want to go back, this is nonpartisan. The city of Flint must have as many commissioners as possible to represent them on the county level. It is vital that Flint be a vibrant, healthy entity for our whole area to function and grow and thrive. 2 Flint commissioners should not be pitted against each other in the primaries. Flint is faced with unique challenges that require fair representation. The map created that I guess we're calling the Smith map, does not do that, as it fails to address the unique aspects of Flint as a community of interest. Flint representation is severely limited, while the surrounding areas are not. And like many people have already stated, it seems to manipulate the districts to benefit himself and Republicans. I mean, that's just how it appears to me.
10 seconds.
Oh gosh. It packs all the Flint voters in the highest amount of population into the smallest number of districts possible. The second map, the cherry map, is cleaner and fairer. I thank you for your attention to detail and fairness and democracy.
Thank you. My name is Chris Del Morone, and I live in Flint, Michigan. Just speaking as Joe Q, public citizen here today. I think transparency is one of the first things that we need to look at. And to get the transparency means to have information made available. And I would have thought today that maps would have been made available here. They are. Did I miss them? They are? So I would have thought maps would have been made available, or they could have been put up on the monitors. We get the agenda, and, that's cool. But, over the years, maybe even over the decades, I think Flint has been divided into 4 different county commissioner seats, or in the sense that 4 county commissioners represented part of Flint. I understand how lines are drawn. On the street I live on, Dickinson Street in Flint, Michigan, trash is picked up on a Tuesday across the street from me, on Friday on my side. I have 1 state rep. The residents across the street have another state rep. So I would think, if nothing else, proportionately based on populations, and let me say, I have not seen either of the maps or ever how many there are. I don't even know how many are floating around out there, but I have seen none of the maps. So I can't speak to any of them directly. But in general, based on the population of Flint and of the county, I would think at least proportionately, some county commissioners would be representing part of Flint. So if we had 4 before, I don't know if that's still the appropriate number or not, but I would think at least 2 people might come out of Flint, or at least have the possibility to come out of Flint. I know when I go to vote, I'm not looking at, race or
10
color
seconds.
or creed or anything of that. I'm looking at the individual who's running and how they might help. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Okay.
The last one. I didn't really
Sorry, I couldn't hear your name.
Yes, right. My name is Marilyn Daniels, and I live in Fenton Township.
Hi.
I've seen both of the maps, and I have to say, they're very, very complicated, and I know that you guys are, your actions are dictated by laws and amendments to the Constitution, 15th Amendment, and then the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Section 2. A lot of things you guys have to take into consideration, besides what seems to be apparent. But looking at Mr. Smith's map, it seems to me to be a violation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Section 2, because that requires that district lines not dilute minority votes or deprive minority votes. And if that map were selected, then they'd lose 2 representatives. So the minority vote would lose 2 representatives. So that's really all I had to say. I think it would be a violation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Section 2.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Hi, my name is Diane Freeman. I'm from Davison Township, and I'm so new to this. So I've had an opportunity to look at the maps just vaguely. I'm trying to learn what they are doing.
Sure.
I am here to, first of all, I think people are giving Mr. Smith more credit than what he's due, considering I'm from Davison. The gerrymandering of him being able to be guaranteed a county commissioner's seat in Davison Township and the surrounding areas is, I think, it's not quite as accurate as some people might think they are, but that's another whole topic. But I just feel like that we, I don't even know how to draw the county lines. I think there should be equal minority classes. I think that we need to look at an equal representation of Democrats and Republicans. I think it needs to be fair. And not guaranteed a spot for any one particular party to be elected, and that we all should have a voice. I don't know how to make it. I think we should look at them and make sure that there's equal parties in both sections. And I think that we should have fairness in classes as far as economic classes. People in the city of Flint deserve the same education as our children in Davison Township. So I think that we should be able to, they should have a voice. But I also don't like the idea that Davison is being divided into communities. I like my community. I love Richfield being part of my community. I love Davison City being part of my community. I think we need to be represented equally. But in the same token, I think that there's got to be some kind of way to make this equal for everyone and make everyone happy. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that's as clear as probably mud to me, but and you too. But I think that we should all just maybe take a minute and look at these and make sure that they're make everyone happy.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to address the board? Any other members of the public wishing to address the board? Any other members of the public wishing to address the board? Seeing none, public comment is closed. We now move on to mapping discussion. I want to let everyone know that there is we have put together a new cherry map with just a couple of changes so that in response really to some of the comments from last week. So if you look at District 3, I think Ken's going to put up the cherry, what we're calling now the cherry 2 map. Is that right? That's not, that's the different, there we go. There was a precinct in District 3, which is the Burton part of Davison map. There was one City of Flint precinct in that district, so that was taken out in response to some of the comments that we had last week. So it is now a Burton and partially Davison Township district. And then also there were a couple of changes within precincts or districts 1 and 2 in the City of Flint just to improve the population deviation so that this map has 5 breaks instead of 6, which makes it a little less breaks. And it also has a population deviation that has improved from, I don't remember what the original map was in terms of population deviation, but it is now 5.98. You should know that each, that the state, or the way the Secretary of State is requiring the deviation, the high, you can go up to 11 point something in terms of deviation. So this map and the Smith map both have very good population deviations. I think this one's 5.98, Smith is 6. So it's pretty close. They're both pretty close in that sense.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Well, let me finish first. There are issues regarding, we've heard a lot of issues regarding the way the city of Flint is represented. This map has the city of Flint, portions of the city of Flint in 3 districts. As I think Chris Del Moroni said, there used to be 4 and now there's only 3, mainly because there is a population change, but we have, as some of you have talked about, there is parts of the city of Flint in, for example, District 4. Mr. Smith, do you have a question?
Yeah, was this sent out to the commission prior to this meeting?
No.
Or okay.
No, the change was so minor that, and we talked about it, and I said last week that we'd probably do this, so I did not send it out ahead of time. But as I said, there's really no difference. You should, we had, last week, we did hear concerns about Davison Township being split, and it is. There's not any argument about that. I can tell you that I don't personally see that as a negative consequences, because I think it's always good to have strength in numbers. So when you have 2 commissioners representing an area, to me, that's stronger for that community. You can end coalitions between those commissioners can be set up to help the townships, or the township and the city in that area to make it stronger in representation. I think it's also important that we heard today that the city of Flint has representation in, as I said, 3 districts. I don't really see the city of Flint influence stretching to the county line, but if it does, I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that we all are part of this community. Flint is a part of this community and needs to continue to have that kind of representation. We're stronger when we're all together than when we're divided. And putting Flint, making Flint as part of these districts makes us stronger, I believe. Currently, you should know that the current districts for county commissioners have something of, depends on how I count, but at least 9 or 10 breaks in the current number of county commissioners and the districts that are in the current map. So we're coming down from 9 or 10 to 5, which I also think complies much better with the law. And if you look at, with the exception of precincts 1 and 2 and 6, those precincts, if you look at, I happen to have looked at the presidential election 2020, they are all around 50% Republican. They're not overly Democratic. There might be a couple that are like 53, there's a couple that are around 49.5. So it's not like we're creating Democratic districts. It is requiring competition. I can tell you that when I was in the Senate, I represented everything starting from Vienna Township all the way down the east side of the county. I had Davison, I had Grand Blanc, I had Atlas, I went down into Oakland County. and it was a 49% Republican district. I worked hard, and I happen to have won that district. Later, Mr. Robertson, who's not here any longer, I don't think, he won that, when my terms were up, he won that district. I believe that it's important that, even though I am a Democrat and I am partisan, I'll admit that. I think Mr. Smith would probably admit that he's partisan too. That is the nature of this body. However, I also believe in making things competitive and making them fair, and that's what we tried to do within this map.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I have the floor?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to give everyone in the audience and those watching on Zoom, what my stance is on this and the reason my map is the way it is. First of all, we have other redistricting going on with the state level, with the Senate seats, with the state rep, with the congressional. Now, because I'm on the Reapportionment Commission, I like to see what other redistricting is doing, because it's available online, where you can go in and view public comments online. And I've done that. And I've looked at some of the comments for state rep and state senate. I think that's important to just look at those. Obviously, we're dealing with county commission seats at hand, and this is our focus. But I think it's also important to take a look at what other redistricting is doing. And the common theme that I see is keep Flint together. Keep the communities of interest together. So in my map, in my stance, I'm keeping the communities of interest together. Flint is a community of interest. Davison City, Davison Township, like I said last meeting, they share the same senior citizens authority. They same the fire department. Okay, that's a community of interest. As one of the public comments said, even the school district is the same. And we have to keep that in mind as well. I know someone had said something about, COVID spreading because of this map. Well, due to school districts, well, let's keep in mind that the school districts don't change with this map. The school districts are the same. Davison Township, City of Davison, Richfield have the same school. Grand Blanc Township, City of Grand Blanc have the same school. That's a community of interest when you share the same interests. Schools, police departments, fire departments. When I'm looking at your map, Cherry, I'm seeing Grand Blanc Township separated from the City of Grand Blanc. You look at my proposed map, you see more of that community of interest together. Same thing with the City of Davison, Davison Township, Richfield Township, and the City of Mount Morris Township as well. But I think it's important to know, and as it relates to competitiveness, I feel like I need to say this. I think it's important to note, I do agree the city of Flint deserves choices and deserves representation. And every single time we see the filing list for the county commission elections, we see, and this is a matter of public record, we see the city of Flint seats run uncontested. It's Democrats, once they win their primary, they're in. How is that equal representation? So, the city of Flint, we talk about communities of interest, keeping our communities of interest together that share the same interests. That's what my map displays. And I don't understand why we're using the community of interest method for our state house, our state senate, but when it comes to the county commission seats, we want to take the city of Flint and scatter it out. I'm trying to keep communities together that share the same departments, authorities, commissions, keep them together, the same school districts. I think that would make more sense. And finally, I think it's important to note, the city of Flint, when we first had the redistricting commission, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a 20% loss in the population of the city of Flint. So that's important to note too, as there might be one less commissioner representing the city of Flint. It's because the population has decreased. And when we do this work on this commission, we have to keep population in consideration, because it's my understanding we have to be close to that 45,000 mark. So I just wanted to offer my stance on my map and why I kept the communities of interest together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Prue.
I'd like to kind of say my comment to, in an attempt to clarify, so that I know exactly what I'm voting on. But my interpretation here is, in this moment, I am thinking, what am I tasked with? I am not tasked with picking a Republican map or a Democratic map. I am tasked with picking a fair map. And when I look at these maps, I see in the cherry map districts that could go either way. I also live in an uncontested district right now. I live in current District 6, which is held by Commissioner Schumacher. That district has not been competitive historically either. There's not geographically probably a lot that can be done about that, and that is fine. But what I see in the cherry map is the attempt to give the county an overall competitive voice. There are a couple districts in the cherry map that tend to lean one way, because you're not going to be able to avoid that. But in this map, I see districts with current commissioners that are Democrats that are probably not going to be too happy with this map, because it changes the districts in a way that makes their district more competitive. I also want to talk about briefly why we operate from a community of interest standpoint differently on the county level than on the state level. When you think of the entire state of Michigan, it is huge. Having at least one or two representatives from the city of Flint on the state house or state senate or both requires that that city be held together. It is the exact opposite effect if you do that on the county level, because it disproportionately changes the voice and the voting power of the city of Flint. Because our community is a small county. It's a county, not a state. It's different. So we also operate under a different set of requirements than the state is right now. We operate, one of the commenters in support of Mr. Smith's map cited the statute for me. I have it in front of me. That's how I operate. I'm a statute person. It's MCL 46.404, County Commissioner Districts Guideline for Apportionment. And one factor that seems to be getting missed on both sets of comments is districts shall not be drawn to affect partisan political advantage. Shall is a very strong word in the legal industry. It means it cannot be drawn in a way that affects partisan political advantage. Therefore, a map that got squares on it is not necessarily less gerrymandered than one that has districts of Flint cut into now 3, not 4, now 3 different districts. So when I look at these maps, I see a fair map, and that's the map that I would select would be Cherry 2. Thank you.
Commissioner Gleason.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. It's been an interesting month, and it's fitting that today we finally heard from someone that lived with the ultimate gerrymander, the gentleman from Germany. They put a wall up involving his gerrymander between East and West Germany. That tells you how bad things could be. We are not there, but he lived through that experience. We are blessed to live in this country where we do have the opportunity to voice our opinions, but we should have some facts behind that. To address some of the remarks from the audience, that we packed Flint. We packed it further with the map presented today, the Cherry 2 map. I don't say this disparagingly. We packed it more by removing one commissioner and putting the city of Davison with part of the township of Davison. That was one of my big concerns last meeting. I explained to those in attendance and viewing last time that this is a partisan exercise, which I am futilely against. I can't do anything about that. Some of you are new to this process today. Some question why you have a Democratic prosecutor, Democratic clerk, Democratic treasurer, Democratic Party chairperson, and a Republican Party chairperson. Why is there such an unevenness in those making that decision? That's driven by state law as well. We live with a unique situation. Of the 83 counties, Michigan is one of the few that we must, under the statute, and just be an ethical people, and be an American people, and trying to dissolve some of our misdeeds in the past, we try to offer an opportunity for minorities. If you go to Gladwin County, you're not going to see some effort to try to carve out an area for our brothers and sisters of color, the minorities, and that's not going to happen. But we're given that further responsibility, and I'm glad to have that, and I'm glad to offer that opportunity. But it shows you how unique this process is. I'd say you can't factor in the dud factor. There's duds that we run for office. My party chair lady said historically the southwest corner, I'm not chastising her, she's new to the community, but for years, the Democrats controlled that seat. We remember Kay Hart, Pat Lockwood, Candy Curtis. The Republicans couldn't touch it because it was not available for them to win that seat. That's what happens with the redistricting. But I think that the second cherry map listened, and that's all you asked us to do today was to listen and be fair. And there was a massage of the district between Davison and the city of Flint. We can't be perfect. I thought we could be more perfect with 7 commissioners rather than 9, that we could draw up that map more equitable, considering the minority presence in the donut of our county. I lost that vote. I'm going to continue my effort to be fair. It doesn't matter what you move. Somebody is not going to be happy. When you have 9 seats and you start maneuvering those seats, you are going to be dividing up communities of interest. Flushing is impacted. Davison is impacted. Clio is impacted. All these communities reach out. And as I expressed last week, we have a county millage for senior services, and we have local millages for police and fire for shared services. Those, I don't believe, were taken into consideration in the decision, but I think this was a good faith effort. And I'll just close with my remarks. And once again, directing my words and sentiments to the gentleman from Germany. It's not as bad as you folks think it is. If the Republican Party, the map I see, if they can't win 4 seats with the cherry map, that's their fault. That's the dud factor. We get a lot of people that lose elections, not because of party, but because of opinion, talent, and other considerations, mostly lack of effort. So those are my remarks, and I want to thank you, Madam Chairperson, for listening to my concern and doing what you could with the Davison community in the city of Flint. I think it was a forthright effort, and I commend you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too want to thank you for your efforts and for tweaking this map. I too came to you and asked for some adjustments, and it is such that I am supportive of the Cherry 2 map. It gets us close to the target population of the 9 districts. It limits the number of political breaks, which I thought was important, so potential commissioners can navigate the jurisdictions within their districts. But most important to me, and I'm going to follow up on what Clerk and Commissioner Gleason just said, most important to me, the map preserves 2 majority African-American voting districts. You know, for too long in America, African Americans have been dealt an unfair hand in our democracy. And I just think it's important that we deal them a fair hand by preserving 2 majority black districts. I think this map is a step in the right direction to accomplish that task, and that's vitally important to our democracy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So at this time, I guess I would ask if anyone's willing to make a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that this commission adopt Cherry Map 2.
Is there support for that?
I will second that motion.
So, made by Commissioner Prue and seconded by Prosecutor Layton. And is there any further discussion?
It was just given to us today, Cherry 2. And it concerns me that we have a county commissioner, Mrs. Davis, saying that there was calls made saying that this map was already in the works. This map, Cherry 2, was just given us to today. The only thing I had was Cherry 1, so I just want that on the record, please.
Sure. I don't know what calls Ms. Davis was talking about, but yes.
I would like to also state that I'm not aware what calls are being allegedly referred to. And I did want to just say thank you to Clerk Gleason for giving me some of the history. I did, full disclosure, move to the District 6 area in 2013, so my history was limited to the last map. So thank you for that.
Commissioner Gleason.
This will be it for me today. It was recommended. I'm trying to just address some of the points I thought were more cognitive of what's going on here today. But the gentleman that I alluded to earlier and another lady stepped forward and said that it would be more fair if 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans were to get together and draw the map. You were given that opportunity. Maps can be accepted from anyone, any organization, any effort. I'm terribly sorry you weren't made aware of that. I'm just a commissioner. We can't speak in the audience, ma'am, I'm sorry. That's out of order at this time. But I'm just saying there was a full faith effort by the commission itself, us, to make sure everyone knew what the process was and that you did have an opportunity. I agree. If we could get 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, sit down, even order lunch, let alone draw lines, I think we would be very far ahead as a community. But I appreciate the opportunity, and you have a very good point, and maybe in the future we can utilize it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further, excuse me. Please have order. Are there any further comments from any of the members of the district? Seeing none then, record roll call on the motion.
Layton,
Yes.
Gleason,
Yes.
Cherry,
Yes.
Smith,
No.
Prue.
Yes.
Now, thank you. The motion is carried and adopted. Mr. Weber, what do I have, do we need to adopt the resolution?
The
or-
resolution is the vote that just occurred.
That we just did?
and now-
So we're all
Yeah, you will
set?
sign a piece of paper acknowledging the Cherry 2 map.
Okay, and then just so that you know that now this will be submitted to the Secretary of State.
Correct.
Correct?
Yeah, yes.
And then do they, what do they do?
They're going to confirm that the population, the deviation is within the acceptable standard, and they're going to look at whatever law is applicable to the map and sign off on it.
Okay, so they sign off on it too. All right, I think, is there any other business from any member?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.